Welcome to Werks. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you do, please like, subscribe, and comment. Today's video is part 2 on leveling the Grizzly G0768 benchtop lathe. This is not a hard process, but it is time consuming to perform correctly. The tools you'll need are a calibrated precision machinist level, matched 1-2-3 blocks, assorted wrenches and sockets, and I used a cheap set of automotive feeler gauges for shims. This notice in the Grizzly manual for the G0768 benchtop lathe is spot on, and you should take notice of this suggestion. Here's a view of the finished surface on my cold rolled test piece. I did not polish, sand, or use anything to improve the finish. This finish is produced just using the lathe tool with an insert, about 650 RPM speed, a little cutting oil, and a low feed rate. I did have to fine-tune the lathe to gain this finish. As you can hear, there was a lot of vibration and chatter with the lathe. I tried a few things to eliminate the chatter, such as adding cutting oil to the workpiece, which helped but did not cure the issue, and still had a poor finish on the workpiece. Always put safety first, and make sure to disconnect the lathe from the electrical source when working on it. I then shortened the workpiece in the chuck to remove some of the material flux from the lack of support on the tailstock. Again, this helped, but it didn't stop the chatter and still produced a very poor finish on the cold rolled round workpiece. Off camera, I did tighten up the spindle bearings preload from about 3,000 in play to less than 1,000, and that seemed to be the ticket, and I'll show that in a future video. I felt it might be too much for this video. It really improved the chatter, produced a smoother finish, and produced a consistent chip. After I finished the cut, I measured the workpiece for taper. I had about 2/1000 of taper in 4 inches. I didn't like that much taper considering that this was done as a finishing cut, which is a light depth of cut and slow feed rate. The tailstock side was larger than the headstock side, which meant I needed to add some shims to the front of the tailstock side of the lathe. This will move the tool closer to the workpiece and reduce the diameter of the workpiece. I pulled the test piece back out to about 6 inches from the chuck and started a cut about 5 inches on the workpiece. It was much smoother and quieter. You will hear the lathe bark, because I didn't throw the lathe out of feed and it hit the shoulder full on. That was about 100,000th depth of cut for about a split second. There was no damage other than my pride. I added a 3,000 shim and recut the workpiece and measured the workpiece to determine if there was any taper and how much taper there is on the workpiece. The tailstock side of the workpiece was now about 1,500 smaller than the headstock side of the workpiece, which means I added too much shims and need to remove those shims and add a smaller shim to the lathe. I then removed the 3,000 shim and added a 2,000 shim, recut and remeasured the workpiece. I now had a taper of about 3/10,000ths or 3/10 and 5 inches, and deemed this very good for this lathe, and went and had a cold one, which was a glass of ice water. You must have everything clean, I mean really clean. Any dirt, chips, or foreign material will keep you from getting the lathe bed level and the twist removed from the bed. If your lathe is not level, you will not be able to cut straight and will end up cutting a taper on your work. The end goal is to cut with as little to no taper as you can, and zero taper can be done on this lathe, but it depends on how much effort you want to put in. 1,000 or 2 and 6 inches on this lathe may be acceptable to you. It all depends on the class of work you want to do. If you get it within a few tenths of 1,000ths and 6 inches, pat yourself on the back and go have a cold one. Here's a view of the finished cut on the workpiece. I'm pretty happy with the results, and time will tell how long it will hold the tolerances before it needs to be adjusted again. Watch for more videos on the Grizzly G0768 Lathe in the future. Thank you for watching Werks, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did like the video, please give a thumbs up, subscribe for future videos, and comment. Thanks again.